You can follow a generic program like the ones I provide on my channel, but the ideal program is going to be unique to you. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, areas they want to prioritize, and imbalances that they need to fix. In this video, I'll show you how you can design your own unique program to maximize your gains. First, you have to decide what your goals are. It could be strength, size, maybe you want both strength and size. So the first thing you need to do is decide what your goals are, and you have to prioritize for that goal. You'll make much more progress if you just focus on building size and maintaining endurance for like 8 weeks than if you try to maximally develop both at the same time. You want to prioritize your main goal and then just maintain everything else. It's tempting to try and like max out on everything all at once, but those different training modalities like strength and endurance produce different physiological adaptations in the body. So if you lift really heavy and then you immediately do like an hour-long run, that run is going to disrupt the adaptations that were happening in your muscles after the strength session. So you want to ideally separate out different types of training and prioritize just one. So for now, let's say your priority is hypertrophy training, getting bigger muscles. Once you've decided what your goal is, then you want to choose how many days in the week you can train, how many training sessions you want to do in the week. You need to train every muscle group at least twice a week, so 2 days of strength training is the minimum. And you can do up to 6 days. I would recommend leaving at least one rest day. Once you've got your goals and your training frequency figured out, then you want to decide on the body part split. The more muscle mass that you recruit, the greater the hypertrophy, strength, neural and hormonal response. And for this reason, I think full body is the best split, and then upper lower, and then push-pull legs, and then body part splits like bro splits. The worst way to train is a bro split where you like destroy chest on Monday and then you don't train it until the next Monday. This doesn't allow you to train it frequently enough because you should train each muscle group at least twice a week, and it doesn't allow you to get enough quality volume in. Imagine how poor the quality of your 20th set on chest day is compared to like the first 5 sets or so. You can maintain that high quality of those first 5 sets by doing them on several days a week. You'll be able to get much more volume in, and that volume will be higher quality. So for beginners, I would recommend you do full body 3 days a week. So now you know what your goals are, which days you're going to train, what body parts you're going to train on those days. Now you need to decide how much weekly volume you're going to do, so the number of sets per muscle group in a week. My source for this is Mike Israetel's work at Renaissance Periodization, where he recommends the optimal number of sets for each muscle group based on like maintenance volume, minimum effective volume, which is the smallest number of sets that you need to do in order to make progress in that muscle, and then maximum adaptive volume, which is the maximum number of sets you can do without running into recovery issues, and then maximum recoverable volume, where beyond this point you will start to have recovery issues and it's going to be too much work and you won't be able to last more than like a few weeks. So for the muscles that I'm prioritizing, I like to use somewhere around the low end of the maximum adaptive volume, and then for the other muscles I just want to maintain them or do the minimum effective volume. So let's say I want to do the minimum effective volume for chest, that is 10 sets per week. So if I'm training 3 days per week, then I could split that into 5 sets on 2 days, or I could do 3 or 4 sets over all 3 days. So you want to ideally spread that volume out over the week. And the maximum adaptive volume for back is 14 to 22 sets a week. So if I was training 3 days and I wanted to get like 15 sets in, I would have to do 5 sets for back on each of those 3 days. You can see it's going to be much harder to get the higher end of that range, like 22 sets, if I'm only training 3 days a week. I would have to do at least 7 sets per workout. So if you want to get to the higher end of this maximum adaptive volume, you probably want to train more frequently. If I did like 5 days a week, then I could do 4 or 5 sets each workout instead of like 7. So once you've decided how much volume you want to do for each muscle group in a week, based on which muscles you really want to advance, which ones you want to develop a little bit, and which ones you want to maintain, now you can choose the best exercises for each of those muscle groups. And you want most of your volume to be the most effective exercises. Generally, those are like the big compound movements So for chest, that would be bench press or weighted dip. It could also be dumbbell bench or push-ups, but they're not going to allow you to load as heavily and get as much mechanical tension on the muscle. Like a bench press, you might be able to do 100 kilos, but then dumbbell bench, you probably can't do 50 kilos in each hand. And any extra volume would be for more optional exercises like flies. So if I only have 10 sets a week to work with, I want them to be filled with the most effective exercises possible. You'll build much more muscle with 10 sets of bench press than 10 sets of cable flies. Hopefully that makes sense. If you're a beginner, then your priority should be to pack on as much size as possible. You don't need to worry about the small fluff exercises like wrist curls and calf raises. That can come later. At the moment, you need to be putting slabs of muscle on your frame by getting really strong at the big compounds like squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, barbell row, and weighted pull-up. These 6 exercises will get you like 80% of your gains, and they will grow your chest, your front delts, your back, quads, hamstrings, and glutes. So these exercises should be your priority. You should learn good form with them and really slowly increase the weight by the smallest possible increments, starting with an empty bar if you need to. The core of your program should be adding weight to these 6 most important lifts, and you want to be in the rep range of about 6 to 10 reps, which will stimulate strength quite a lot, but it's also a really good range for hypertrophy. And all the other exercises should be extra hypertrophy work to increase the size of the muscles involved in these main movements and to hit any muscles that aren't targeted by the big 6. So the muscles that are not targeted that well by those big 6 exercises are side delts, rear delts, biceps and triceps, abs, and calves. So you should do isolation exercises for these muscles, but again, the priority needs to be getting stronger at the big 6. And if you're going to skip any exercises, skip these smaller, less important ones. And for these hypertrophy extra exercises, the rep range should mostly be within like 10 to 15, but anywhere from 10 to 30 will work really well. The point is, any jacked guy you see at the gym is probably really strong at these big basic compound exercises. The guys who do just lightweight dumbbells and cables, they don't really get very strong, and you'll probably see them in there for like years lifting these light weights because they're not pushing themselves hard enough. They're not making a real effort to get stronger on the most effective exercises. And you need to make sure that the exercises you choose are ones that are comfortable for you. So you should experiment with like high bar versus low bar squat, conventional versus sumo deadlift, close grip or wide grip bench press, barbell or dumbbell overhead press, and whether you're seated or standing doing that overhead press, barbell row or pendlay row, weighted pull up or weighted chin up. And ideally you would include the main lift and one variation. So let's say your low bar squat is your main lift, and then as your main variation you have the front squat. The variation should assist your main lift. So by doing front squats, you're going to get stronger at low bar squat. It's prioritizing a slightly different muscle. So low bar squat is going to be more like glutes and lower back, and then a front squat is going to be much more quads focused, but they assist each other. So you want to choose exercises that feel good for your joints. Personally, conventional deadlift feels much better than sumo deadlift for me. I also like dumbbell overhead press instead of barbell overhead press because I tend to strain my neck too much doing barbell overhead press. So you want to try out all these different exercises, find the ones that work for you with like no joint pain, and focus on getting strong at those exercises that are good for your anatomy and biomechanics. So now that you have your goals, your frequency, the body part split, the weekly volume, and then all the exercises that you plan to do, now we can lay them out intelligently into a weekly program and put together all the workouts we're going to be doing in the week. Generally, in each workout, you should put your highest priorities first. So if you really want to improve your bench press, then you should bench press first. If you really want to improve your deadlift, then you deadlift first. And another rule of thumb is to put the big compound movements with heavier weight earlier in the workout, because if you do them at the end, then you'll already be tired by all the other exercises and you won't be able to give maximum effort to the big heavy movements, which are the most effective ones. So they should be your priority and go earlier in the workout. And smaller isolation stuff like bicep curls, calf raises, and abs should definitely go towards the end of the workout. Many people will also recommend doing legs first in the workout because they're so tiring that you probably won't be able to put in a good effort if they're at the end of the workout. Most importantly, put your priorities and your big compounds earlier in the workout and your small isolations and low priorities towards the end. I also like to put antagonistic muscles next to each other in the workout. So I might do bench and then row and then overhead press So I'm doing chest and then back and then shoulders. If I did bench and then immediately overhead press, my front delts would already be really tired from benching, so I wouldn't be able to perform as well on overhead press. If I put row after bench and before overhead press, then my front delts are resting while I'm training back doing my rows, and then they're better rested and recovered, and I can perform better on overhead press after I'm done with my rows. So I would do a push and then a pull and then a push again, instead of like push and then another push straight away. You can do like biceps and triceps and then biceps again, instead of like biceps and then another biceps exercise, because you're going to be so exhausted from the first one that you just won't be able to perform very well on the second one. And like quads and then hamstrings and then quads again, instead of quads and then quads. So like I mentioned earlier, you want to try and kind of evenly spread out your volume throughout the week. So if you've got 10 sets to do and you have 3 days in the week, then you want to do like maybe 4 sets on Monday and then 3 on Wednesday and then 3 on Friday, instead of doing like all 10 on Monday. And you could also split it in half and do like 5 sets on Monday and 5 sets on Friday. That also works, as long as you're doing it at least twice a week for each muscle group. You also want to consider like what you're doing in the day or two after that workout. So if you've got like leg extensions on one day and then heavy squats on the next day, your legs are probably going to be really tired from the leg extensions the day before, so that might not be such a good idea. And you want to put your priorities first again. So earlier in the week you might want to do your heavy squat stuff, and then later on, when it doesn't matter as much if you're tired, then you can put stuff like leg extensions, because if you put them before your heavy work, you're going to be tired and you're more likely to get injured doing your heavy stuff. So you always want to consider how each exercise is going to affect the next workout. So by now you've created your weekly program, you've got your volume sorted out, you know what you're training on each day, you've chosen your exercises and the rep ranges for each of them, taking into account how each workout is going to affect the other workouts. Now you can start to think about how you're going to progress on each of those movements. For the big heavy movements, I would recommend trying to get stronger at those, and the best way to do that is just by adding the smallest amount of weight you can, like every week or every workout. So you could start at like a 100-pound bench press for 3 sets of 6, and then the next week you try and do a 105-pound bench press for 3 sets of 6. Once that kind of slows down, then you could move into progressing reps instead. So you might do a 200-pound bench press for 3 sets of 6, and then the next week you do 200 pounds for 3 sets of 7, and then you try and get 3 sets of 8. That way you can squeeze out more progression and more PRs even after your progress has slowed down in terms of just adding weight. And for the like accessory hypertrophy exercises where your rep range is like 10 to 30, but mostly like 10 to 15, I would recommend progressing using these rep increases. So say you're doing barbell curl and you start at like 3 sets of 10, keep the weight the same and then try and do 3 sets of 11. And then maybe once you get up to like 3 sets of 15, then you increase the weight a little. This kind of progression is called linear progression, where you're just adding weight or a rep like every workout or every week. And it doesn't last forever. It might last 6 months, maybe 2 years, but eventually it's going to stop working and you have to start using more advanced progression schemes. This is where periodization comes in. So this is where you split your training into periods or blocks. Generally you'll start with higher volume, lower intensity, and as you progress through the block you lower the volume and you use higher intensities. And then once that's done you deload, and then you repeat that block starting with a slightly higher weight. This way you're making progress like every block, so every 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks or so. And another way you can continue to progress if you've plateaued is by rotating exercises. So say your squat has come to a stop, you can't seem to make any progress, you can swap out your main squat for like a front squat and then work on progressing that up to a new level. Or if your bench has stalled, then you could focus on incline bench for a while or close grip bench. And then once you come back to your main lift, you'll probably find that you've broken through your plateau because you've developed like the supporting muscles that were maybe holding you back on your main lift, and that's going to help you break through those plateaus that you might find yourself in. So I've put together a 3-week full body program based on the principles that I've talked about in this video. So I referenced Mike Israetel's volume recommendations, and I chose the minimum effective volume for each of the muscles that I cared about. So in this program I'm not training forearms, traps, glutes or abs, and for all the muscles that I do care about I'm doing the minimum effective volume. So that's the smallest amount of volume that I can do to still make progress. That progress won't be as fast as if I was doing maximum adaptive volume, but you're still going to see good progress in 3 days a week using this amount of volume that I'm about to get into. So for back, I wanted 10 sets a week. So on Monday, you can see I have 3 sets of barbell rows in quite a heavy rep range because I want to get stronger at that because that's one of my main 6 movements. Then on Wednesday, I have weighted pull-ups. That's 4 sets of 6 to 10. Then on Friday, weighted chin-ups, 3 sets of 6 to 10. That adds up to 10 sets across the week. For biceps, I wanted 8 sets across the week. So on Monday, I've got 4 sets of barbell curls. And then on Friday, I've got 4 sets of dumbbell curls. So we're hitting that muscle twice a week and I'm getting those 8 sets in across the week. After that, triceps, I want 6 sets of tricep work a week. So on Monday, I've got triceps push downs, 3 sets. And then on Friday, close grip bench press, 3 sets again. For calves, I want 8 total sets in the week. So on Monday, I've got seated calf raises for 4 sets. And then on Friday, calf press for 4 sets. Chest, I want 10 sets in a week. On Monday, I have 4 sets of bench at 6 to 10 rep range because this is one of the main movements I want to get strong at. So I'm in a lower rep range. On Wednesday, I have dumbbell bench press, 3 sets. Then on Friday, I have close grip bench press, 3 sets again. So that overlaps with the tricep work. Close grip bench press is going to hit your chest and your triceps. For front delts, the minimum effective volume is 0, but I threw in 1 overhead press on Wednesday. That's 3 sets in the week, just so I can hit the front delts a little bit more. For hamstrings, I want 6 sets in the week. So I've got 3 sets of deadlift on Wednesday and 3 sets of Romanian deadlift on Friday. And that adds up to 6 total sets, and they're quite heavy rep ranges, 6 to 10, because I want to get really strong at these. For quads, I wanted 8 sets in the week. So I've got 4 sets of squats on Monday and then 4 sets of front squats on Friday. For the rear delts and the side delts, I wanted 8 sets in the week. So for the side delts on Monday, I've got lateral raises 4 sets, and then on Wednesday, lateral raises 4 sets again. And then for the rear delts on Wednesday, I have bent over lateral raises 4 sets, and on Friday, face pulls for another 4 sets. And that is all the work I'm going to do in the week. If you train more frequently, so if I had like 4 days to train, then I could add in extra volume. If I wanted to, I could add in like 4 arm exercises because I'd have more time. But for a 3-day-a-week full body program, this is, I think, a really good basis to start from. And you can swap out some of these specific exercises for variations that you prefer. So maybe instead of close grip bench, you might want to do incline bench for your main bench variation. Maybe instead of weighted pull-ups, you want to do lat pull downs. So I hope now that I've explained my process of making a program, I hope that helps you understand where I'm coming from with all of my other programs. Hopefully you can develop your own program for yourself, for your specific goals and your weaknesses. I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know if there are any other things like this that you would like to see, programming, exercise selection, more stuff on periodization and progression. I will have videos on those things in the future, but thank you for watching. If you've seen my video on Toji's physique and you're interested in the complete guide to achieving Toji Fushiguro's physique, including a physique analysis and weightlifting or calisthenics training programs tailored to suit your needs and efficiently maximize muscle growth, check out the link at the top of the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.